Can you tell me where Stepp Cemetery is?
It's located just north of sunny Bloomington, Indiana, off of the historic Route 37.
What do you know about Stepp Cemetery? Can you give me the history?
Well, you see, when people first settled this area, it was one of the first cemeteries founded actually by the Stepp family, which is how it gets its historic name. And supposedly, there's a myth about it that a woman in black haunts it. And I can corroborate this myth because I've seen her, and it's true.
This is a Wiccan cemetery, a witch's cemetery. No one that's buried in there believes in Christ or God or whatnot. There's actually a lot of strange writing on some of the older monuments. One story that goes on there is I don't know the full details, but basically a mother lost a child. There are several infant births out there. Many of which are like early 1800s, late 1700s. But anyway, the mother was apparently in such distraught and sadness that she would sit out by this stump where her child was buried and like protect, watch over or whatever, and hope they would come back. And apparently some nights you can go out there and see a cloaked figure sitting on this stump or hear a baby's cry. But I've never seen anything like that.
What was your experience?
We walked into the cemetery and started noticing, like, it wasn't just getting colder, but the temperature was, like, fluctuating, like, 5 to 10 degrees without any kind of breeze or anything, like, colder then randomly warmer again. And, as we approached the cemetery, we walked just past the sign that said, Stepp, and then when we were walking towards, like, the famous stump or whatever that's supposedly there, we noticed that, like, as we shined our lights on it, it just looked kind of normal, but once we turned our flashlights off, there was actually kind of like a veiled blackish figure, like by the stump. And then as our eyes adjusted more to it, we realized that there was actually like a person sitting atop the stump. And like we like walked a little closer because we're like, wait, is this like a shadow? What's going on? So we finally like get really close. Well, not really close. I'd say about 15 feet away. And like instantly, this ghostly figure like whips around, stands up, and of course, the second we see any kind of movement, we book it out of there as quickly as possible. I don't think I've ever like heard 3 20-year-old boys like scream that high pitch before. And while we were probably about 50 feet from the gate, about to hop over it and get back into our truck, we heard this unearthly like shriek, like howl, weird thing. Like didn't come from any of us. Didn't sound like any animal I'd ever heard in my life. Didn't really sound like something being like attacked. Just like some otherworldly like yell.
I think what a lot of people don't know about the place is that just behind it and behind it through the woods, there's a pond, a very, very small pond, almost, I don't know, probably not much bigger than your average kitchen. The entrance to the entrance to the pond was surrounded by tall grasses, very natural at the back, and then they were broken down as like a level coming to a spot where you could walk straight into the pond as if it were like some sort of ritual spot. Then I proceeded to notice that there was a circle mowed in the tall grasses around the pond to differentiate. I did notice that the circle surrounding the pond had the trail coming off going to the cemetery downward, and then it had 4 other trails going off. So if you looked at it from an overview, it looked like an upside-down pentagram pointing towards the cemetery.
Would you do it again?
Several times.
Nice. So would you go again?
Absolutely, I have gone back. I have never seen the ghost again. I would love to see her again because I would like to actually try to talk to her.
How would you communicate with her? Would you try to bring
I would
a Ouija
try to
board
talk to her.
or
I
an
don't know
actual
about
conversation?
I don't know about Ouija boards. I don't know if like I've just never really had much success with them, so I'm not really sure if that's a viable way to communicate with the supernatural realm. Probably like try to verbally communicate, obviously, because that's what I'm most used to. Like, if not, like maybe like if I somehow agitate it, like peaceful hand gestures. Like worst comes to worst, I'll run away again. I'm not above that, but I would like to try to talk to her. I'm not really sure how though.
Cool. Well, thank you, Alex. Cheers to ghosts.
Cheers to ghosts.